or no deal.
The Jason Walker Show, broadcasting from the Major Mortgage Man Cave. Here's Jason Walker.
Hey, happy Friday. It is the Jason Walker Show inside the Major Mortgage Man Cave and presented by Capital Collision Center. It is a big show today. We're going to talk New England Patriots football. If you wanted to know why the Patriots dynasty was good for 20 years, how the split came with Tom Brady, and a whole lot more, you're going to want to listen to this with author Jeff Benedict coming up a little bit later in the show. About 10 minutes from now, we're going to get a Kentucky Derby update from our good friend Barry Abrams from In the Gate podcast. He will tell us who wins the Kentucky Derby tomorrow. And yes, it is the Kentucky Derby tomorrow, which is strange, I know, but it will be tomorrow. Will Tiz the Law go 2 for 2 in the Triple Crown races thus far this season? So we'll find all that out. Also, let's see what else is going on. We're going to check in with, on this day in history, we have a big one. We've got a couple of big birthdays, and the walk-off is coming up as well. I've got 5 pages of rundown notes today. You can watch live on Facebook.com/The Jason Walker Show. You can tweet at JWalkerSports. You can find us on YouTube, Podbean, Network One Sports. Email is jasonwalkersports@gmail.com, and you can get a hold of us as well, jasonwalkershow.com. So, all right, let's get going. Major Mortgage Man Cave and our daily COVID update. So here we go. Montana with 149 new cases, 150 currently in the hospital, 114 deaths, 2,084 active cases, 1,011 of those are in Yellowstone County. But hey, let's allow fans in the stands. 5,821 have recovered from this virus. There are 192 active in Rosebud, 158 active in Bighorn, 174 in Cascade, 158 in the Flathead. See, numbers just keep going up in these bigger cities. Missoula County's at 41, Lewis and Clark 14, 24 in Gallatin. And I just saw some today that Deer Lodge in Anaconda Health Department added 45 new cases today down there. So stay safe, everybody. That is your COVID update. All right. There is a football game that was canceled tonight. Not due to COVID, however. Colstrip and Big Timber, not going to happen tonight. Several wildfires, smoky air was deemed unhealthy on all of the measurements that they use. And Colstrip Athletic Director Robin Nansel said MHSA, they consulted the guidelines. They'd said, we can't hold this game. Poor air quality in Colstrip. And so Colstrip will not host Big Timber tonight. And it's rough for the kids because they've not known if they're even going to have a season. And they were supposed to get a game tonight. They felt it was guaranteed. And then it's not happening. And that's Colstrip coach Andrew Torgerson, quoted in 406mtsports.com, said that. He goes, quote, "We've got this game guaranteed. Let's go out and make the most of it because we don't know what will happen," end quote. That was yesterday. Today, their game got canceled with Big Timber. So that's bummer news. That is absolutely bummer news. Speaking of fans, Billings Public Schools, we talked about this a couple of days ago, their activities spectators plan was released today. 2 family members per participant for Billings teams will be allowed. Out-of-town fans not admitted. And there you go. So Lewis and Clark County made amendments yesterday that they're going to allow fans. We just don't know the numbers yet. Season starts next week. There were scrimmages last night in the Queen City, Capital, and Helena High both. And no fans were allowed there. But that's okay. It was a scrimmage. There are other games tonight, which is good news. Corvallis and Hamilton will play in Corvallis. That's a big game in Class A. Blue Devils beat Stevensville last week. Flint Creek will take on Mission tonight. Is that right? So there you go. Townsend will host Eureka, which was a 14-0 winner over Bonners Ferry, Idaho last week. They had to get special permission to go to Idaho and got the win. Who played at Salmon? Somebody played at Salmon last week too. Jefferson and Whitehall will play tonight, a non-conference game. Remember, Jefferson lost all of its 3 non-conference games earlier. And 2 weeks ago, they lost those games. So they're going to play a non-conference game with Whitehall. Just they're in the same league, same division. So that's okay. But they couldn't play anybody from the West. So there you go. Big stuff. What else in this? There was a volleyball match last night, and it was kind of a shocker. Joliet, in a rematch of the State B title game or match last year in November, Huntley Project beat Joliet to go back-to-back and was that the 3rd straight championship last night? Well, last year. Well, Joliet won last night over Huntley and snapped the Red Devils' win streak at 101. Yeah, they had won 101, a state record. So the Jayhawks get the win in 5. And it's a big win. It's the first win, according to Joliet coach Colette Weber, the first win for the Jayhawks over the Red Devils in 14 years. How about that? But huge, huge stuff. They'd won their 100th match in a row. That was at the state championship last year. Their 3rd in a row, 12th in history of the school. And then they got their 101 straight win back on August 28th when they beat Bridger. But losing last night, that's a big blow. But they can reset and move on from there. And hopefully be okay. All right, so we're having some issues with the YouTube. We're having some issues with Podbean. We're having some issues just in general. Technology's great when it works, and not so much when it doesn't. So good luck to all the teams in action tonight across the state. They're, speaking of across the state, had a good golf round today and yesterday. Going to be out golfing tomorrow. Supposed to be really nice, like record highs tomorrow. And then they're talking snow level about 5,000 feet, 6,000 feet on Monday, Labor Day. They're talking 70 inches possible around 7,000 feet up at Glacier, where they have a winter storm watch in effect. Yeah. Oh, man. It is that time of the year in Montana. And I talked about this before, but I remember getting snowed on August 22nd, 1992, 22nd, 23rd. It was crazy. It was nuts. We got like 8 inches of snow. It went away the next day, obviously. But, yeah, fun. But that's Montana, and I've seen snow in every month of the year. So, fun stuff. All right. I can't wait to talk with Jeff Benedict. You're going to enjoy this interview. He wrote a book. It's called The Dynasty, about the New England Patriots, and discusses the breakup, how they were able to hold the team. Not many people know this about the Patriots. They were very close to moving to Hartford, Connecticut years ago, like within the last 25 years. And within the last 20 years. It's nuts. It's nuts to know how close they were. And Jeff Benedict will describe all that a little bit later on. But when we return, we're going to talk Kentucky Derby. It was supposed to be the first Saturday in May. It is now the first Saturday in September. It is the second instead of the first running of the Triple Crown. And I want to ask Barry Abrams, if 'Tis the Law was to go on and win the Triple Crown, will there be an asterisk next to it? Because it's been a weird year for horse racing, for everything. Barry Abrams, In the Gate podcast, ESPN, will join us next here on the Jason Walker Show, presented by Capital Collision Center.
New vehicles keep coming, and Capital Collision Center keeps earning certifications to repair them. They're Helena's newest GM-certified facility. No matter the make or year, they repair your car to manufacturer's standards and requirements, maintaining its safety and value. Montana state law says it's your vehicle and it's your choice where you have it repaired. Choose Capital Collision Center, certified in GM, Subaru, and Nissan, and Helena's only shop certified in Honda, Acura, and Ford. When you value safety, go to Capital Collision Center on Euclid.
Have you thought about buying a home and just don't know where to begin? Well, when it comes to one of the most important purchases one can make, we understand it can be frustrating and confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Major Mortgage team help you with all your mortgage needs. Major Mortgage means major service, and we would love the opportunity to help you today. Give J.R. McFadden, NMLS number 1246357, a call today at 406-465-1918, or you can visit him at 2001 11th Avenue, Building A, Suite 3 in Helena. Major Mortgage is a division of AMCAP Mortgage, NMLS number 129122, equal housing lender. Do you love to look at photos of Montana, from animals to landscapes and more? Are you looking for a place to get your senior pictures or family portraits done? Are you a business owner looking to upgrade the decor in your offices? Well, look no further than Mark LaRoe Photography. Mark has been shooting beautiful photos all across the Treasure State, from rodeos to portraits, and would love to work with you. Visit marklaroephotography.com to see many masterpieces of his work, then give him a call to schedule your own photo shoot. Or to purchase one of his fantastic pieces, stop by Spirit of the Big Sky Gallery on Custer in Helena. marklaroephotography.com.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call State Farm agent Mike Miller in Helena today.
I'm done with this.
Thinking about trying something new? The Montana Air National Guard has so many exciting career fields to choose from, many that can open up opportunities in your civilian life. The best part? You'll be getting paid to learn a new trade skill right here at home. What are you waiting for? Let's get you in school and get you paid. Contact Luke Fecto at 406-788-8962.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Rucker's Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rucker's, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $299. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
Welcome back, Jason Walker Show, Major Mortgage Man Cave, presented by Capital Collision Center, your one-stop shop. If you have been in a wreck of any kind, from the smallest fender bender to, like I was basically almost totaled my truck from getting T-boned, Capital Collision Center will make it look like it is brand new, and you can't tell that my truck was in a wreck. So love the work Capital Collision Center did. All right. We are going to talk with author Jeff Benedict coming up about the New England Patriots here in a little bit, but also on this day in history on the way, and a whole lot more. But it is time to welcome in one of my all-time favorite guests, and we talk horse racing a few times a year. His name is Barry Abrams. He hosts In the Gate podcast, and he's on his way home. But Barry, appreciate it. I want you to make sure we're driving safe, you're hand-free and all that, right?
Bluetooth speakers. We're good to go. I'm all yours.
Barry, I appreciate it. How's it been the last couple of months for you and the family? It's just one of those. We just don't know anything that's going on lately.
If I didn't know the Kentucky Derby was on Labor Day weekend, I'm not sure I'd have known this was Labor Day weekend. You know, when you work at home, every day feels like every other day.
It definitely does, and appreciate you being able to join us. The first question I want to ask Barry is, if Tiz the Law is to go on and win the Triple Crown, and we've got the Preakness coming up in October, is there going to be an asterisk next to its name?
Generally speaking, there probably will be. I won't be the one who puts it there because it, to me, is a different type of Triple Crown. On the one hand, the races are much more separated now. 12 weeks between the Belmont Stakes, which happened in June, Tiz the Law won that, and the Derby this Saturday, and then another 4 weeks until the Preakness, which is October 3rd. The Belmont was also run at a shorter distance. Normally it's a mile and a half. This year it was a mile and an eighth because the horses had just come back after the COVID break. They were not ready to run a mile and a half. And you could argue that there were a number of horses who would have won the Triple Crown over the years if the Belmont Stakes had been a mile and an eighth, not a mile and a half.
True.
I get all of that. My point is that because the races are more spaced out, which is the way horses regularly run now. They don't run 3 times in 5 weeks, the way the Triple Crown is currently set up in a non-COVID year. They run every 4 to 6 weeks. And so you may see a pretty stiff field for Tiz the Law, assuming he wins tomorrow, in the Preakness, which would include Art Collector, who was pulled out of consideration on Saturday because of a minor injury. He should be fine 4 weeks. And King Guillermo, who also has a fever. He'll be fine 3 days from now, but as an abundance of caution, he's not running Saturday. I don't know if those horses would come back on 2 weeks rest in the Preakness were this race to be run in May. So, again, while the configuration's different and the Belmont Stakes was shorter, I would argue that Tiz the Law, should he complete this Triple Crown, would have faced tougher fields and therefore is just as worthy a winner. And oh, by the way, not for nothing, but this horse has just oozed American Pharoah 2.0 to me. The way he races, the way he trains, the way he presents himself, he is picture perfect, just the way you would draw it up. And he's had some trouble in his races. He's overcome that. So to me, some of it, I guess, is the horse himself. Tiz the Law, of course, being the only horse that can complete the Triple Crown this year. If he does it, he is no less worthy and no less quality to me than American Pharoah. He is fantastic.
That says a lot because we know how good American Pharoah was. Barry Abrams, our guest here, Mike Miller, State Farm Hotline. I saw at the post positions, the betting today, and there's not a lot of faith in literally any other horses other than the 3 on the outside. Tiz the Law, I think, was 3 to 5. Honor AP's 5 to 1, and Authentic 8 to 1. The next closest is Thousand Words. He's in the 10 slot at 15 to 1, and every other horse is 30 or 50 to 1. They're not putting a whole lot of stock in literally anybody else except the top 3. And I think we lost Barry there, so we'll try to get him back. But yeah, that is absolutely crazy that the top 3 are 3 to 5 and 5 to 1 and 8 to 1, but then everybody else is 30 to 50 to 1, and Barry Abrams back with us. Barry, I was just saying that the top 3 horses, 3 to 5, 5 to 1, 8 to 1, everybody else is 30 or 50 to 1. There's not a lot of faith in anybody else.
No, and that's justifiable here, no pun intended. The thing about it, though, is, first of all, the odds of the 3 outside horses being the favorites, Churchill Downs put out that it was 800 to 1 to have that.
Wow.
Now, the thing about it is, again, being on the outside is an advantage in a large field. And this is now a 16-horse field, the first time since 2003 that we don't have 20. You don't want to get caught in traffic. Mm-hmm. And if you're down on the inside, you can be pinned up against the rail and the field comes around you and swarms you, and you have nowhere to go. So I think if Tiz the Law were drawing 1, 2, 3 or something like that, his odds may have gone up just a little bit because there'd be a chance of greater traffic. But not only is it better to draw the outside, But the horse to his immediate outside, the far outside, Authentic, is the pace setter in this race. He's going to be the horse that goes to the lead. And so to use race car parlance, Tiz the Law is just going to draft in behind him and try to get a position going into the first turn where he's not 10 wide, but maybe 3 or 4 wide. And if he can do that and avoid traffic, this is his race to lose.
Barry Abrams joining us, Jason Walker Show. He's won his last 7, Tiz the Law has, but the only race at Churchill Downs, and again, way back when, finished 3rd. And he obviously knows the track, and that was last November. So obviously running a lot better nowadays.
Well, that track was also very wet that day. It was a sloppy track. There'll be no issue with that tomorrow. The weather is forecast to be beautiful in Louisville. And the horses are growing up. I mean, you know, when you're in the fall of your 2-year-old year, I mean, that's like being a 9-year-old kid. Even in May of your 3-year-old year, you're basically a teenager. You reach September, you're basically a junior or senior in college getting ready for the NFL. So these are bigger, stronger, sturdier horses than they would be in May. And usually at this point in the year, they would be expected to face their elders, not just run against other 3-year-olds. But, of course, this is not any other year.
Right.
So, this horse has grown up mentally this year. He's been so professional winning the Florida Derby, the Belmont Stakes, and then the Travers up at Saratoga last month at 1.25 miles, the same distance as the Derby. And he demolished a pretty good field. So he has just been all systems go, and it's just hard to see, unless something happens, which it always could, it's hard to see him getting beat.
The article I was reading, Barry, mentions Authentic, also mentioned 1,000 Words, both from Bob Baffert. But there's one in there too, Storm the Court, and that's a name that I like, but it was an upset winner at the Juvenile, at the Breeders' Cup. Is this a horse that can challenge Tiz the Law or any of the top 2 other 3 horses?
His trainer, Peter Urton, the father of NBC analyst Brittany Urton, has been searching for what this horse does best. He's tried him on grass. He's tried him at different distances. And the horse just has not really responded. I really don't know why he landed here. I don't think he belongs here. He has not shown that he's capable of it this year. So that would be a tough one. But there are others you could look at with upset chances. One of them would be the number 2 horse, Max Player, who is a closer. He's a come-from-behinder and would have to navigate traffic. That's always an issue. But he was transferred from the barn of Linda Rice, who's a very good trainer in upstate New York, to Steve Asmussen, who's the second winningest trainer in North American history. And this will be Max Player's first start for Steve Asmussen. I have to believe that when this guy gets his hooks into this horse and trains him the way he wants to, that there's room for improvement. He's just got to navigate traffic. Another one I would look at here is the number 7, Money Moves, for Todd Pletcher, 4-time champion trainer, 2-time Derby-winning trainer, and he didn't even enter this horse until a couple of big horses that we mentioned earlier, Art Collector and King Guillermo, withdrew. This horse is sneaky good, and he started out at 30-1 on the morning line. According to KentuckyDerby.com, he's somewhere around 14-1 now. Okay. So the public likes him, and I don't know that he can beat Tiz the Law, but he's certainly better than he opened, and I would take a look at him.
Barry Abrams joining us. He is the host of In the Gate podcast. We never really talk about jockeys a lot, but there's some good ones that aren't down in Churchill or over in Churchill Downs this week, both because of COVID-19, or mainly because of COVID-19 restrictions. Flavien Prat's not there. The Ortiz brothers are not there. There's a lot of great jockeys that aren't able to make this trip. And does that change the dynamic of the Kentucky Derby at all?
A little bit, although the best horses have good riders on them. Manny Franco is the wild card. I mean, Manny Franco has been a leading rider in New York for a couple of years, but this is his first time with a horse that should win on the big stage. Can he handle it? He's our guest on this week's In the Gate podcast, and we asked him about it. But, you've got Javier Castellano on Money Moves. You've got Mike Smith on Honor AP. So, I mean, you still have some pretty big riders in here. But, yes, I mean, when you don't have the Ortiz brothers and you don't have Flavien Prat, that certainly can make a difference. I don't think it will because Tisdalov is so much better than the rest of these. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Manny Franco, but I don't think he's got to do a whole lot here to get this horse to the wire first.
Just don't fall off, right?
Well, he's got to get him out of the gate, and he's got to establish a position on the first turn without being 10 or 11 wide. If he can do that, the horse should take him there after that.
Barry Abrams joining us. So this is the first time, I think, since 1945 the Derby was not run on the first Saturday in May. It moved to June 9th that year due to World War II. And they ran all 3 races in the Triple Crown that year in consecutive weeks. That is a lot different, Barry, than what we've seen this year.
Well, that's what I was saying before, that horses used to be trained. Even when I was in college a long time ago, the Santa Anita Derby was 2 weeks before the Kentucky Derby. And in 1989, when Sunday Silence beat Easy Goer in the Derby and then nipped him in the Preakness in one of the greatest races I've ever seen, it never even occurred to the trainer of Easy Goer, Shug McGahee, not to run Easy Goer in the Belmont. And Easy Goer wound up destroying Sunday Silence and ending his Triple Crown bid. Now, if you don't win the Derby, you're giving your horse 5-6 weeks off, maybe not even see him again till the fall. It's just a different game, and we could talk for hours about why that is. But, yeah, I mean, there were years, a century ago where the Preakness would be run 4 days before the Kentucky Derby. Wow. It happened multiple times. So they're really, the current configuration of the Triple Crown, Derby on the first Saturday of May, Preakness 2 weeks after that, Belmont 3 weeks later, has only been since 1969. Right. So there have been iterations, and I'm of the belief, and so is Randy Moss of NBC, that the Triple Crown, after we're done with COVID, should be changed to leave the Derby where it is, run the Preakness, say, on Memorial Day weekend or the first weekend of June, and then run the Belmont Stakes on July 4th. Ooh. It would take a lot to convince horsemen of that. Change does not come easy in this industry.
And part of that, too, change is Barclay Tagg, who I think is, 82, but he had some interesting comments about Louisville and about there's protesting that's going to happen outside Churchill Downs. He's an old guy. He's 82. But what was your takeaway from some of his comments?
I mean, I'm not going to comment on what other people say like that. It's not for me to say. Okay. I know that it is a very sensitive subject, and I'm not looking to offend anybody. I just know, that ESPN as a company, we take a stand on social justice. And so I hope that everything plays out peacefully and that all voices are heard and included.
Barry Abrams, our guest here. A couple final questions for you, Barry. But obviously you're picking Tiz the Law. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to make money on this race, the best thing to do would be to take Tiz the Law to win, and then other combinations of horses to come in underneath in an exacta or trifecta. That would, or a double with a race earlier or later. Mm-hmm. But to just bet Tiz the Law to win, you're not really going to make a whole lot. However, if you decide to go a little deeper and bet the first three finishers, there could be some long shots that come in. I mean, Dallas Stewart alone has had three of them when he had Invisible Ink. He had Commanding Curve at 47-1 come in second. So there have definitely been years where the second place finisher, even when the favorite wins, the second place finisher causes huge payouts.
I want to get your thoughts. We know that there's not going to be any crowd. And I mean, we're talking, 175,000 or more that are not going to be screaming. Does that affect the horses at all? And does it affect the jockeys? Because a lot of times I always bring up Secretariat with you, but that's a horse that loved the attention. But does it really affect the horses at all if there's no crowd versus a big crowd?
It's going to be a lot easier for them. Horses are, thoroughbred horses anyway, are high-strung animals. And if you blink the wrong way, they're going to jump. And it happened in the Derby last year when Maximum Security was disqualified he veered from his path because he either heard a sound on the infield or maybe he saw a camera flash, we're not sure, and caused interference. So without a live studio audience, it's certainly going to be easier on the horses. It won't be quite the spectacle that you and I are used to seeing, but it'll be a lot better for them.
Yeah, not seeing as many big hats. I think we're okay not seeing all those for a year. Barry, did you know what happened on this date in 1920 in horse racing?
September 4th, 1920. Is that the day that Man of War won the Lawrence realization by 100 lengths?
Yes, yes. Yes, I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, so what did Secretariat win the Belmont by?
It was listed as 31. If you actually look at the picture, it's probably closer to 25, but you get the idea.
Right. But 100, how is that possible? 100 lengths.
Well, there weren't that many opponents. And so because Man of War was that good, he never won the Kentucky Derby because his owner didn't enter him in it. He said, this horse is too good to run in the Kentucky Derby. But when you don't have a lot of opponents, and it's almost like a match race, one-on-one, what happens is, like when you watch the Derby tomorrow, you're going to have horses in the front and in the middle and some at the back, and they can take aim on each other. But in a match race, when there's like 2 or 3 other opponents, you can't do that. You can't let one horse get away. And so you have to try to run with it. Well, nobody can run with Man of War. So in a race with few opponents, it's certainly easy to win in such a walkover.
Man. That's just, I saw that today and I was like, well, it's good timing talking to Barry, but 100 lengths. And the fact that you knew that is even impressive. I love that.
Well, unfortunately, Man of War was the first radio star, but not the first TV star. And so we never got to really understand it visually how great he was. We saw Secretariat win, or at least some of us of a certain age saw Secretariat win the Belmont by 31 lengths or whatever number it was, but we never saw Man of War. But when you hear something like that, it can't help but impress you.
Barry, when you look at Man of War and War Admiral and Secretariat, and I mean some of the great horses, are we ever going to see horses like that again?
Well, I mean, American Pharoah was pretty close. And remember, Man of War lost a race. Secretariat lost 5 of them. American Pharoah lost 2 of them. There are very few perfect horses. The last major one was Personal Ensign, the filly, who won all 13 of her starts, culminating in a come-from-behind, heart-stopping victory in the 1988 Breeders' Cup Distaff. But it's very rare. And so even Man of War and Secretariat and American Pharoah, who are at the pantheon of this industry, of this business, of this sport, were not perfect. It makes you appreciate when they were. The fact that Secretariat lost 3 times in his championship season of 1973 makes you realize that those 3 wins in the Triple Crown races were not automatic, right, and that they were even more special than when you think about them the first time.
It's nuts. I appreciate you each and every time. We're going to talk in October, of course, before the Preakness, but safe travels home. Stay safe, and appreciate the time as always, my man.
It's great to talk with you, Jason. Take care.
Thank you. That is Barry Abrams. He is a host of In the Gate podcast. Nobody knows horse racing better than Barry Abrams. We love chatting with him. So there you go. Tiz the Law, gonna win. But then the big money is going to be coming where you take your second and third, the place in the show for tomorrow's Kentucky Derby. I think it's the 146th. I mean, think about it. The first Kentucky Derby came 10 years after the end of the Civil War. I mean, that's how long the Derby's been running. And it's just, it's going to be weird not seeing all the hats tomorrow, but it'll be fun not seeing all the hats tomorrow. So I think post time is 5:01 Mountain Time tomorrow, and on NBC. So we thank Barry for joining us as we talk to him at least 3 or 4 times a year. We talk horse racing, and we gave you, because you can bet now in Montana, so you can bet on the Kentucky Derby. Tiz the Law to win, but then who finishes second, who finishes third? That's where the big money is going to be won. You're not going to make any money. It is the law. There you go. Appreciate Barry. This segment brought to you by Rutgers Furniture. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, I'm not a New England Patriots fan, and I don't know very many Patriots fans in the state of Montana. There's a new book out. It's called The Dynasty. It's written by Jeff Benedict, and Jeff had unbelievable access. He's going to talk about Deflategate in the book. He talks about Spygate in the book, and also the breakup. Tom Brady, Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick. And did Giselle have anything to do with that? We'll find out next when Jeff Benedict joins us here on the Jason Walker Show, presented by Capital Collision Center.
New vehicles keep coming, and Capital Collision Center keeps earning certifications to repair them. They're Helena's newest GM-certified facility. No matter the make or year, they repair your car to manufacturer's standards and requirements, maintaining its safety and value. Montana state law says it's your vehicle and it's your choice where you have it repaired. Choose Capital Collision Center, certified in GM, Subaru, and Nissan, and Helena's only shop certified in Honda, Acura, and Ford. When you value safety, go to Capital Collision Center on Euclid.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Rutgers Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rutgers, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $289. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rutgers Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
Have you thought about buying a home and just don't know where to begin? Well, when it comes to one of the most important purchases one can make, we understand it can be frustrating and confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Major Mortgage team help you with all your mortgage needs. Major Mortgage means major service, and we would love the opportunity to help you today. Give J.R. McFadden, NMLS number 1246357, a call today at 406-465-1918. Or you can visit him at 2001 11th Avenue, Building A, Suite 3 in Helena. Major Mortgage is a division of AMCAP Mortgage, NMLS number 129122, equal housing lender. Yes, it's true that Montana is a long way from the Gulf Coast, but you can bring that Cajun flavor home with a stop at Cafe Zydeco. From po' boys to classic sandwiches, Cafe Zydeco has all the best Cajun in town. Are you in the mood for seafood gumbo or crawfish etouffee? Maybe you're craving jambalaya with some shrimp and grits. Head in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or call ahead for pickup or delivery. Cafe Zydeco will fix all your southern cravings, even on a chilly Montana day. Cafe Zydeco is a proud sponsor of The Jason Walker Show.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call State Farm agent Mike Miller in Helena today. Do you love to look at photos of Montana, from animals to landscapes and more? Are you looking for a place to get your senior pictures or family portraits done? Are you a business owner looking to upgrade the decor in your offices? Well, look no further than Mark LaRoe Photography. Mark has been shooting beautiful photos all across the Treasure State, from rodeos to portraits, and would love to work with you. Visit marklaroephotography.com to see many masterpieces of his work, then give him a call to schedule your own photo shoot. Or to purchase one of his fantastic pieces, stop by Spirit of the Big Sky Gallery on Custer in Helena. marklaroephotography.com.
Welcome back to the Jason Walker Show.
There we go. Final segment on a Finally Friday. We're looking, thanks to Earth. Ooh, there's a shark. We're looking live, thanks to EarthCam, at the Baltimore, Maryland Aquarium. Shark Cam. I'll have to show the daughter this. She loves sharks. Loves sharks. She's got like 3 books about sharks so far. One's called Shark Bite with Mark the Shark. The other one is Good Night Sharks. I can't remember the name of the other one, but there you go. EarthCam. Baltimore Shark Cam at the aquarium. There you go. Fun stuff. Still to come on this day in history and a whole lot more. I don't know what we're doing here. Let's try that. There we go. Hey, we're on camera. Hi, Mom. Actually, I don't think my mom's ever seen an episode of this show. I'm trying to fix the cameras here. I'm not sure if that's working. Let's try this. I don't know what I'm doing. Just trying to get by on a Friday. All right, this segment brought to you by Mark LaRoe Photography, and you can purchase that product right there. That picture was taken July 3rd at the Ennis Rodeo, NRA. And Mark took it, and it is a beautiful picture, and you can own it. Go to marklaroephotography.com, mention the Jason Walker Show, you get 20% off. That picture or any of Mark's great stuff. Now, if you book a portrait package and mention this show, you'll get a free 8x10 canvas or matte print. Unbelievable. Mark is so good. He's going to be in Helmville this weekend for the final Northern Rodeo Association event of the year. NRA finals in October were canceled, so whoever's your leaders at the end of the weekend at Helmville will be your NRA winners for the year. And good luck to all contestants. I think Lindsay Cruz, formerly of Winston, now down in the Red Lodge area, is going to win the barrels. I think like she's leading big time. But get over to Helmville if you want to watch some radio action this week. Just social distance, wear a mask. All right, so New England Patriots. They've won a lot in the last 2 decades, and right around COVID, Tom Brady announced he was moving to Tampa Bay. He was a free agent, and it was a pretty emotional breakup. But what about the stuff before? What about the 20 years before? And the loyalties between Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, Tom Brady, all of that. Well, there's a guy that wrote a book. He's written a lot of books, including one about Tiger Woods. His name is Jeff Benedict, and he joins us now here on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. Well, appreciate you joining us this morning. This is an interesting book that you have written, and you've written some good ones over the years, but why this? Why the Patriots?
I mean, that's an easy one for me. I mean, watching for years thinking, this is the greatest sports dynasty of the 21st century. We haven't seen a team in the last 20 years that's performed as consistently and won as much as them. I just wanted to understand how did they build this dynasty, and then once they built it, how did they sustain it for so long? Because the 49ers of the 80s, Steelers of the 70s, the Packers of the 60s were all fantastic, but none of them were able to survive or keep it together for more than about a decade. These guys have doubled that length, and I just wanted to get in there and understand how they did it.
You had some unbelievable access to former players, to entertainers, to Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, Roger Goodell, and Tom Brady himself. One thing that stood out to me, Jeff, that in the talking points is Gisele's a big reason that Tom is in Tampa Bay now.
I don't know where that's not what I wrote in the book. I mean, what I wrote in the book is that, and I think you might be referring to a meeting that took place in Robert Kraft's house with he and his son Jonathan and Tom and Gisele, talking about whether Tom would remain there and continue playing in New England. I think that the point that the book makes and shows is that you've basically got in Tom Brady and Bill Belichick the two biggest stars that the NFL has produced in the last 2 decades. Mm-hmm. And they've remained on the same payroll for all that time. It's a complex situation, and I think to Robert Kraft's credit, the owner, he's managed the situation, quite remarkably, keeping these two guys together for so long. And it is complex, but that's what comes with greatness. And for me, it's not so much judging them, it's more trying to understand, what did it take to keep the coach and the quarterback together for so long? Because the truth is, they probably should have wound this thing down 10 years ago if they had gone the route that their predecessor dynasties had gone in the NFL. And still then, people would have looked at it and said, hey, it was a great run. They won 3 Super Bowls. They had a 16-0 season. Not bad. But no, this thing gets extended twice as long, and they end up going to 5 more Super Bowls on the back end. And that's really what I was exploring, was how that happened.
Jeff Benedict, our guest here, author of The Dynasty. Tell me about the Drew Bledsoe situation, because if it's not for Drew Bledsoe getting hurt, we may not have seen this dynasty at all.
There's, it's funny that you say that, because there's a bunch of moments like that, right, where you could say, but for this, none of this would have happened. And the Bledsoe situation is one of the biggest of those moments, because prior to that injury, he was injured in the second game of the 2001 season. So right after 9/11, when Clay returned, they played the Jets, and Mo Lewis hits him, and he severs an artery, bleeds into his lung, and ends up in the hospital. Almost dies.
Right.
That moment leads Belichick to insert Brady into the lineup. Brady, by the way, wasn't second string, he's third string, but Belichick puts him in, and he starts performing well. One of the things that I have in the book that wasn't known before was that prior to the start of that season, so just a few weeks earlier, when training camp ended, there was a meeting with Belichick and Kraft where Belichick said to him that if he were starting the quarterback that he thought would be best for this team right now, it would be Brady. It's a statement that sort of stuns the owner. Kraft doesn't ask any questions, and Belichick didn't say any more about it. And, of course, he doesn't start Brady. He starts Bledsoe. Bledsoe's making $103 million at that point. He's got the largest contract in the NFL, and he's a bona fide superstar and with a cannon for an arm. When he goes down and Brady goes in, the conventional wisdom was that when Bledsoe came back and was medically cleared to play, he'd get his job back, because that's the way it always was. And Belichick does do that. And I think that is a big moment in Patriots history, not only because of the gutsy call that Belichick made, but also because Kraft didn't intervene, despite the fact that Bledsoe wanted him to. And he could have, and I think most owners in that situation probably would have intervened. After all, he's paying the other guy $100 million now to hold a clipboard. And so you're starting to see very early the decision-making of Belichick and Kraft and how that impacts the formative years of the dynasty.
Jeff Benedict joining us here, Mike Miller, State Farm Hotline. Jeff, when you look at Robert Kraft, it appears that he vetoed a trade of Tom Brady to San Francisco that Belichick wanted to make. Instead, they sent Garoppolo. But Robert Kraft was very, very loyal to both Brady and Belichick over the years. And I think that's amazing when you look at ownership in sports, how loyal he has been.
Yeah, he's been very loyal. I just want to correct one thing. Certainly in my book, there is nothing about Robert Kraft vetoing a trade of Tom Brady to San Francisco. I've never seen any or heard anything about that before. That didn't happen. But what did happen is that the loyalty you talk about is for real, and it's a loyalty that goes in two directions. In other words, Kraft's loyalty to Brady, which is reciprocated by Brady's loyalty to Kraft, and then there's the loyalty between Belichick and Kraft, which is a different relationship, but a tremendous amount of trust and loyalty there. And then there's Belichick and Brady, and they're not two guys that spend a lot of time together outside of work. And I think that's what's really interesting here is how they stayed married for so long, despite the fact that they didn't have a close personal relationship off the field. It was a professional working relationship that was really requiring a bridge of the owner who had this more personal relationship with Tom. And that personal relationship is key to him staying in New England for as long as he did.
You cover the breakup, and it ended I think we all knew it was coming the last couple of years, but take me through the breakup of the dynasty here.
Yeah, the book ends actually this spring as the COVID pandemic is starting to hit the United States, and Brady becomes effectively a free agent and decides he's going to go to Tampa Bay. And I chose to close the book with the farewell scene, which takes place at Robert Kraft's house in the midst of the pandemic. And you have these two